I discussed this with David Hertel earlier on.
Yeah.
I want to get your take. So we were trying to get this big international defense bank in Montreal. We know Canada's getting it.
Yeah.
We just don't know what city it's going to be. Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver, top 3 right now in the running, right?
Ottawa, Gatineau as well together.
Not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
So Montreal, we had people, of course, when the Liberal Convention was in town, making a big deal about why it should come here, etc. Then we find out Toronto, which would like to have it obviously there because this is a lot of jobs. It's very prestigious. And they're basically kind of letting it be known that, should this bank decide to move here, well, what happens with separation happens in a referendum. You really want to be part of that? And I asked, is this dirty or is this just negotiations?
It's dirty. It's dirty. Let's face it. The possibility of a referendum happening in Quebec right now is about none to zero, in my point of view. First of all, the PQ has to win the next election, and second of all, if ever they win a majority,
they're leading right now. They have.
Well, they're like the Liberals are picking up some momentum at the moment, and so far, if ever they win, they might have a minority government. So not enough to launch a referendum campaign in Quebec. So in my point of view, the chances of us having a referendum in the next 4 years are very little at the moment, and so Toronto is pushing the fact that they don't mention specifically in their documents the threat of a third referendum, but they say that Toronto offers more stability.
They make it obvious.
But to me, Montreal also has major advantages. Montreal has a very large defense ecosystem with, for instance, on the South Shore in Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu, lots of companies working in the defense sector. We have the military, the Royal Military College in Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu. Also in Montreal, in the West Island, we have many companies working in the defense and security sector. So we have also the knowledge of the industry. Toronto has the financial sector. We have more of the defense sector here in Montreal, aeronautics as well. As we know, Bombardier is looking into the defense systems eventually. So we have some expertise that we can push. And also, I would also add that Montreal is a United Nations city. We have the ICAO here in Montreal. So we are already, I think, well positioned on the international stage to welcome the headquarters of the new defense.
So this is playing dirty as far as you're concerned.
It's playing dirty because they know they might not have all the advantages we have.
So let me ask you, if we were going to play dirty and try to convince this bank not to go to Toronto, what would we tell them about Toronto for
boring city?
Not good enough. All right, let's move on from that and talk about the next story. So the Liberals, a little bit of hot water here. This all goes back to Pablo Rodriguez's leadership campaign. I remember this story coming up at the time that it kind of got, forgotten about.
Right.
We've had so many things happen. Charles Milliard takes over the leadership. Pablo's gone. But this is apparently serious.
Very serious accusations against Sona Lakhoyan Olivier, the MNA for Chamédé. So it's confirmed now that she used public resources, National Assembly resources, for partisan activities, especially to favor the campaign of Pablo Rodriguez during the first leadership campaign, to succeed to Dominique Anglade. And not only that, but also she interfered with the inquiry process.
Did you say Dominique Anglade?
To succeed Dominique Anglade.
To succeed, I'm sorry. Okay.
For Rodriguez to succeed Dominique Anglade. And apparently not only that, but Lakhoyan Olivier also interfered with the inquiry process of the ethics commissioner. So she tried to hide information,
even
delete
more serious,
messages.
Right?
That is, to me, that's very serious. It's the first time ever since the adoption of the current ethics law that the commissioner is proposing the National Assembly, because in the end, parliamentarians are going to have to vote for her recommendations to move forward with the $8,000. And by the way, $8,000, that's almost nothing. Yeah. But still, it's the first time that there's a financial penalty imposed on an elected official for going against the principles of the law.
You heard Marc Tanguay sort of talking about this and kind of say, well, don't worry, we're going to have the new people will be taught courses on what they can do and can't do and should do and what's not appropriate. What's that about?
But it shows, first of all, I think that some of the things that Mauro Risky said publicly were true, were based on facts. There are issues regarding ethics within the Liberal Party. This is a party where I'm not saying Rodriguez was himself directly involved, but there are people within the Liberal Party
who should have known.
Well, they should have known, first of all, of course. And most of all, there's a culture that needs to be changed within that party. And I hope that someone like Charles Milliard will do the cleanup that needs to be done within that party.
How much damage does this do?
For the party, I think since they changed the leader, I think most Quebecers understand that Milliard is not associated with the Rodriguez campaign. But still, to me, Lakhoyan Olivier should be resigning today. She won't be a candidate again. Milliard made it very clear that she's not reintegrating. She's not going back to the caucus, and she won't be running in the next election under the Liberal banner. So to me, it's a done deal anyway. She's going to lose her seat in a few months. She should resign for the sake of the reputation of the National Assembly.
Last story, the next election is obviously a few months away. That's what we talk about now. The government wants to increase the number of ridings in Quebec from 125 to 127. Explain the background to this and why this is an issue.
Okay, so we have an independent process in this province. There's a commission that for now and then analyzes the movements of population, demography across the province to ensure equal and fair representation. We have laws here in this province to ensure equal and fair representation in all ridings. So when there's some regions like Gaspésie, for instance, where people are moving out of the region more than there are people moving in Gaspésie, so you have less population to represent as an MNA in a single riding. So you have to balance that with other ridings where there's a growth in population. So that's what the commission recommended. They recommend to get rid of one riding in Gaspésie, so the riding of Bonaventure, which would be merged with the riding of Gaspé, and on the island of Montreal, in the east end of the city, the riding of Anjou-Louis-Riel would be merged with other surrounding ridings to make way for two new ridings in the regions of Laurentides and Centre du Québec. Right now, we have 125 MNAs, seats in the National Assembly. That has not changed since 1989, the year I was born, Aaron, believe it or not. So it's been a long time since we made changes to that. So what the government wants to do now is, in order to protect representation of those two regions in the National Assembly, they want to add two more seats. So instead of getting rid of two seats to add two more in other regions, they want to add two more seats so that they can keep those seats in those regions. To me, it's a direct political interference with a process that should be kept independent. It's fundamental. We have electoral laws to ensure that every vote counts in Quebec and has the same value, has the same weight. And right now what we're doing by doing that is that we're going to give people of Gaspésie a vote that is worth more than people in some other regions of the province.
And how will this go down in the National Assembly? I mean, who's going to get up and say yes or no?
Well, right now, all parties are in favor. Are on board. They apparently, because Jean-François Roberge tabled the bill today, apparently he worked with all parties to write that bill. They were supposed to go on the fast track to adopt it quickly, swiftly, but the independent MNA Yuri Chassin is opposed to it. He says, wait a minute, we have to discuss it. So it won't go on the fast track in the end because one single MNA is opposed to it in the National Assembly. And I'm glad he's standing up for this because it's a fundamental democratic principle. We should not have political interference. Let's not forget, Bonaventure, Gaspé, Anjou-Louis-Riel, these are all ridings at the moment that are held by the CQ, and these could change hands eventually in the next election. For all parties, they all have eyes on these ridings. So it's really, to me, we're crossing a line here we should not be crossing with political interference in that process that should be left independent.
Is this political in the sense that you just mentioned the CAQ because it would help the CAQ specifically?
Not necessarily, because the CAQ at the moment would be left with no seats if there were an election held tomorrow. But it's certainly all parties are trying to court those votes. So they're saying, oh no, we will maintain your representation at the National Assembly. They're trying to court voters there to say, we defended you, so vote for us in the next election. That's why, to me, and just the fact that we have parties working together in order to save ridings that should not be saved because the commission, the independent commission,
decided they should.
2 years ago decided that these ridings should be wiped out from the electoral map to add two more in other regions where there are needs for better representation there. To me, we're already crossing a line.
Last question, 30 seconds. Alexandre Boulris, obviously, he's not going to be running for the NDP. He's running as a QS candidate. You hear anything about who's going to be running in Rosemont for the Liberals? Have you heard anything at all?
Do they stand a chance?
Well, they're going to run a candidate. No, you haven't heard?
Haven't heard. Are you running?
Well, no, I heard this morning.
Are you telling me?
No.
On top of being president and founder of Trafalgar Strategies now?
I'm saying that the name Jean Charest was mentioned.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I can't believe that.
Okay. I heard it this morning, just saying. It's in a column. I think Mike Cohn put it in his column in the Suburban. I'm not sure how much weight that has, but you hadn't heard anything?
I have not heard anything about it, and I would be
Would that make you fall off your chair? Yeah, okay. Fair enough. Thank you.
The newest tracks. Let's go. New music. And the next big thing.
Always on the new music first.
Your first place to hear it all.
'Cause you gon' like it, love it, wanna play it twice. Playing now.
iHeart New Music. Your digital station for brand new drops, fresh finds, and tomorrow's bangers.
I think we need something new.
Discover iHeart New Music. Always fresh, always first. Stream now on the free iHeartRadio app.